Hi everyone, and welcome to a video that I'm making about the ALS/motor neuron disease Ice Bucket Challenge. Hopefully I'm going to talk about some of the criticisms of the challenge and whether or not I'm going to be partaking. Hopefully this won't be too narcissistic, and hopefully it's more of a conversation about the value of charitable giving. So I'm going to try and go through this really quickly because there are a lot of things to cover and I don't want to waste too much of your time. But I think it is very important to have this conversation. So there are a lot of criticisms about the motor neuron disease Ice Bucket Challenge. One of the first ones is about the waste of water. So a lot of people are saying that, a lot of people in the developing world are struggling to get the clean water that they need. And is it really fair that people in the developed world are chucking loads of ice buckets over their head and going, "Yay, isn't this so much fun?" when really, actually, people need that water? And the reality is, though, that we waste a lot of water in the developed world. On average, it's about 35 litres of water a day. So does that allow us then free rein to say, yeah, we're just going to waste this water and we don't need to think anymore about it? Well, probably not. The important thing is that we do think about how we can reduce our water usage, because it is really important that we, try and tackle the problems in the world. So what I'm going to try and do is give £5 to WaterAid. I'm also going to try and make sure that I use less water. I've realised that I use a lot of water and kind of waste a lot of water putting in my contact lenses because I'm a bit of a wimp when it comes to touching my eyes, which, kind of goes with the territory of putting your contact lenses in. But I've realised there are lots of ways that I can reduce the amount of water I use during that process, and so that's what I'm going to try and do. But also, if I do take part in the challenge, and I think we're leaning towards the fact that I probably am going to do it, I'm going to try and use dirty dishwater, which is horrible for me, but hopefully better for you, because you get to see me chuck dirty water over my head. Yay! But then that means I'm not wasting water that would have been used otherwise. I'm also going to try and collect the water below my feet and then use it to water the flowers. Yay for the flowers getting dirty water! Woo! But also, hopefully, that means that the water's been reused twice, meaning that, less water's been wasted. I know that doesn't actually solve the issue at all. Just reducing some water usage and paying some money doesn't solve a problem. We actually need to think about this more complexly and do more work together to think about how we can reduce waste in water and how we can get water to those developing communities. But I do think there is something important about chucking the water over our heads. It's about collective action together. There's something that humans gravitate towards about social action, where we do things together. We are innately animals that like to be involved in social things, and I think there's something very important about chucking the water over our heads, because it shows we're coming together to do something together. A lot of people have complained, a lot of people are chucking the water over their heads and not giving money to charity. Unfortunately, I think that happens in things like these. Some people just want to be involved in the social action, and as long as that kind of keeps it in the people's consciousness, while not being the best thing, it's not a bad thing, because they're doing something fun that they're enjoying, and if it even gets them to watch some more videos while they learn something more, in my head that's a good thing, because if it promotes more learning in the end, that's great. Speaking about promoting more learning, this would be a good time to talk about motor neuron disease, or ALS as it's called in the US. Unfortunately, like a lot of people, I didn't know that much about motor neuron disease until I was tagged in the challenge. I did know a bit, but not really enough. Only enough to know that it's degenerative, it's very horrible to have, and it causes immense suffering to the people who have it and their family, friends and carers. I could go on and say more and tell you some of the things I've learned, but I think that would be a little unfair. So instead, what I'm going to do is link to videos down here or across here that I found very useful, because I think it's better that you see, intelligent videos from people who know what they're talking about, rather than me trying to parrot what they said. Also, it's very important that we donate, so I've put links again down here and over there, depending on whether this is Facebook or YouTube, for you to find out how you can donate as well. The next thing is that a lot of this money going to ALS or motor neuron disease would have gone to other charities, or at least that's a complaint. While it would be great to think that a lot of this money going to ALS and motor neuron disease wouldn't have gone to any other charity otherwise, all the evidence shows that about 50% probably would have gone to another charity. The reality is that we only have so much money that in our heads we think we can give to other people. And so we allocate that how we wish we, do in that month. So normally those go to charities that we like, or people who happen to catch us at the right time to get the donations. This month, a lot of money is going to ALS and motor neuron disease, because that's the big charity of the moment. And it would be great to think that more money would go to other charities as well, but the reality is that probably 50% of it is being taken away from other charitable causes. What can I do about that? Can I force you to give more money to charity? No, and that would be unfair of me, because I don't know what your financial situation is. But I do know what mine is. I've looked at the amount of money that I'm giving to other charities, and while I do give to 4 charities a month and other people who collect money, I've noticed that it's probably only about 1 to 2% of my income after tax that I give to charity, and I can actually afford to give more money. So what I'm going to do is, as well as the £5 to WaterAid and the £5 to motor neuron disease, I'm also going to up my donations to my 4 charities by £1. hopefully raising another £48 for charity over the next year, and hopefully for far longer than that as well if these donations keep up, which is the idea. But actually, what does that do for motor neuron disease? Probably very little. In fact, nothing, because those aren't motor neuron disease charities at all. So on top of the £5, I'm also going to donate £1 a month by direct debit to motor neuron disease, which is hopefully an extra £12 a year to motor neuron disease. And hopefully that goes some way to address the idea that charities actually need long-term donations, not just short-term splurges, but also that I've gone some way to address the idea that this money would have not gone to other charities by donating to the other four a little bit extra than I normally would anyway. So hopefully we're going some way to address like some of the problems with charitable giving. This is a personal thing that I'm doing. I know that obviously everyone else can't afford to give more money to charity just because I am. But I think if we can stop and have the conversation, even if it's just internally in our heads, to think about what can I afford to give, what do I give, and what's important to me to give money to, that's really important. Whether that is motor neuron disease, or whether it's something that's very important to us, or whether it's just giving money to family and friends when they need it. I know charitable giving raises a lot of emotions for a lot of people and a lot of thoughts about whether money's being spent correctly. In fact, I've seen a lot of people who are quite critical of the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge kind of pulling out reports that maybe 73% of the money going to ALS charities in America weren't actually being spent on charitable causes. I've since read into that and found out that actually about 75% does go on key research. But obviously people tend to read these articles and then get very annoyed that money's not being spent right or is being spent right, and it kind of either confirms or denies their original feelings. What we've got to remember with a lot of these things is everyone has this thing called confirmation bias, which is where when we read something that agrees with something we already believe, we tend to believe it. That's why people who are quite right-wing tend to read the Daily Mail, and people who are quite left-wing tend to read the Guardian. Those are UK papers for people outside of this country. But what we need to do is try and look as deeply as we can and try and look at both sides of the argument and try and come to a critical and informed decision. That's not to say to always take the middle ground, but to look at what the evidence is and whether money is actually going to the causes that it should be. And I've looked into the charities that I'm donating to, and I'm quite happy that I think that the money is going on the right kind of research and the money is being well spent by those charities. But obviously I can't change your minds about this, and I can't make you suddenly believe what I believe, or nor should I try to. So what I'm going to do is take a break from these issues for a second to dump some water over my head, because that's really why we're all here and I have talked for a long time. So let's cut to me getting water on my head. Woo! Okay, here we are, ready to do the challenge. I've got the bucket here to catch the water for the plants, and here's my little drink of ice water. It's cold, and this is going to save even more water. I'm not going to waste any. So here we go. Going to get this done. Alright, let's put this down to my feet, psych myself up for it. Here we go. Alright, lean down. Get ready. Oh no! Someone had a bucket! This was meant to be it! There's a second bucket! There was a second bucket! And I told people it's down my back. It's the ice bucket challenge. Now, let's go and water the plants. Bye everyone. Okay, quick cut away to a different location, just to kind of do the wrap-up part of the video. Thank you for watching all of it so far. I know it's been very long, so hopefully you'll stick with me for the kind of closing ending bit. I just want to say, obviously, we've talked a bit about, the problems with charitable giving, and I think it comes back to the fact that, all of us, if we were spending the money ourselves, would spend it in the way that we think we need to. But obviously, we don't understand all of the issues on the ground. We don't understand everything that goes into raising this money. The same goes for, when you're paying your taxes, and actually there's some things that you want your taxes to go on, some things that you don't, some things that you don't understand why the government's spending money on, and some of that comes down to your political views and whether you think the government should be spending money on that at all. Some of it comes to that we actually don't understand completely how the government works or how charities work, and therefore we don't understand why they need to spend money on things that actually maybe they do. And some of it comes down to obviously like personal opinion, like we might think something's more important than someone else, and inevitably, some of it comes down to the fact that people are people and they're not going to get it right all of the time. So some of it, is wasted. But actually, as long as intentions are good, does it matter? And there's a lot of questions about that. So again, I'm going to leave some links down here or over here about transparency in charities, how we can make sure that we get the most out of charities, but also, you know, just think about, you know, how you want to give your money and stuff, because I can't tell you, but obviously there is a lot of information out there, and it's obviously fantastic if we can educate ourselves and learn a little bit more. Once again, please, you know, find out some more about ALS or motor neuron disease, depending on your, you know, your country and where you live. And again, links are down here or over there. And finally, it's my duty to kind of tag 3 more people, and I'm not going to tag 3 more people because I'm cheating. So I'm going to tag 3 groups. Or, well, yeah, it'll make sense. Okay, so everyone who still works at South Staffordshire Youth and Community Service, or everyone who's just left, well done, you've just been challenged. Now, my challenge has a bit of a caveat. If you don't want to chuck water over your head, that's completely fine. What I'm asking you to do more than that is to try and do something to make the world a better place. That can be what your definition of making the world a better place is, not what mine is, not what anyone else's is. So please try and do something to make the world a better place, something sustainable that will last. I know, obviously, if you're working in the youth and community service, you already give a lot of your time voluntary and through your paid work, but I'm asking for a little bit more, if you don't mind. The same goes from the next person I'm challenging, Rory Butler. You're my best friend, and therefore you have to be tagged. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And finally, my 2 teammates from the German War Graves camp, Mara and Merla. Well done, you've just been tagged as well. And I know, once again, you do a fantastic amount of voluntary work. And you know, it seems a little bit mean to ask you to do a little bit more, but I'm me, and I'm going to ask you to do a little bit more. I'm sorry. Once again, people, if you can donate to ALS or motor neuron disease, that is absolutely fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed seeing me get soaked in water. Thank you very much for Gina for nominating me. Thank you for everyone else who's already done the challenge. Thank you for people who have done videos that have made me laugh, and people who have done videos that have made me think. I hope, at least for, you know, a couple of people out there, this video has made you think, and if not, I apologise, but at least you saw me soak myself with some water. Yay. So see you all again soon. Bye. Okay, and as I promised, here's me kind of watering the flowers a little bit. Have some of that. A little bit of that there. It's only been on my head. It's alright, it's alright. No problem. There we go. Oh. And £5 to water aid. Brilliant. Bye!